Hi, just letting you know that today's episode contains material of a highly sensitive nature, including suicide, sexual violation, and mental illness that may be triggering for some individuals. So please take care as you listen.
Okay, let me first ask, am I the first and only bipolar person you know of? Or have you had encounters with other people?
You're the first.
Really?
I've never met anyone who was diagnosed with bipolar before.
Hi, it's me again, Lesedi Mokgwatle, the host of Radio Workshop. Our podcast generally features stories and essays by and about young people in Africa, and today is no different. But for this episode, we've put together a very special and unique show with 3 stories produced for the annual SNF Nostos conference on mental health and young people.
Have I cried in front of you? Do you remember a moment I've cried in front of you?
Yeah. Well, you cried a lot. Well, not really, but yeah, you're always...
I'm a crier.
Yeah, you're always emotional about this and that. And you are very open and you would vent about things, especially the environment that we worked at.
Capturing true stories on tape is central to the work of Radio Workshop, but we also host workshops where young people are shown the basics of story making. And recently we held a workshop in Johannesburg. 9 young people attended, and we worked on how to interview and how to record honest and open conversations about their mental health. According to UNICEF South Africa, 73% of young people in the country are in need of mental health services. 73%. My guess is that number may actually be higher because we don't really talk much, if at all, about anxiety, depression, family dynamics, therapy. So much of our emotional lives is taboo, not to be spoken of. But Sibongile Tole and Ole Morolo took time during our workshop to really open up. These 2 friends met at the office about 5 years ago. They work in the radio and television industry, and as anyone will tell you, it's a high-pressure environment. Early call times, late shoots, hectic deadlines. Ole talks to Sibongile about how she keeps going through all of the ups and downs, despite her diagnosis of bipolar disorder.
I should explain bipolar for those who don't know. There's a manic and a depressive side of it. So manic is when you're in a high, you on top of the world, you feeling all these good emotions, and nothing can derail you from how you're feeling. You also feel like godlike, if I can say. For some people, they overspend. Other people engage in sexual activities or going out and all of those kind of things. I feel like I'm connected to God, and I am the most highest person on this earth right now. I'm the chosen one. It's the weirdest feeling, but yeah. And then depression, obviously, it's the most familiar feeling that most people have. The lowest of lows, obviously suicidal thoughts, anxiety, isolation, drowning. It's like you drowning and everyone else around you is breathing.
As Ule's friend, Sibongile works on being supportive, but she wasn't at first. She didn't understand Ule's emotional ups and downs. Sibongile says as a kid, she learned emotions are something you pack away.
When you grow up in a space where you are always taught to sort of either get over it or deal with it, you walk around with that. So when you see someone who seemingly is not able to handle their emotions, or it feels like they can't handle their emotions, it's like, come on,
Get over it.
Yeah.
But Ule says for her, it's not that simple. There are her mood swings, and her energy fluctuates wildly at times. Sometimes she's exhausted for no reason. Other times, she can't seem to stop. Ole says it's also a real challenge navigating family and a world that isn't accommodating. It can all be too much for her.
It is a lot. It really is a lot to deal with someone whose emotions are all over the place, I don't expect actually a lot from people because they're not necessarily in my shoes, and I don't think they'll fully understand what I'm going through. And I feel like it would be very unfair of me to expect much from people because now I'll come back to suicidal thoughts.
Do you have any?
A lot. Yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday. Oof. Oh gosh, I don't want to get emotional. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Whew.
It's okay.
I feel nervous all the time, by the way. It's like on edge. It's like you're trying to avoid that thing that will make you tip over. So sometimes I can't even explain why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah.
So for me to be like, I was suicidal, not saying I was suicidal, I'm going to do it. It was just like, it can end. Because I feel like I just can't articulate what's going on in my head. Because it feels like such a prison. People with bipolar don't process things the same way everyone else does. So that's why you feel so misunderstood.
It's okay.
Told myself I'm not gonna cry.
It's okay. Take your time. You know, the older we grow, we find one or two things that help us cope. Do you have certain things that are your coping mechanisms?
Definitely, you have to actually. So definitely being a church-going person, being Christian really helps me. Reading the Bible, praying, meditating, listening to music that speaks to my soul. That really helps. Journaling, that is actually my best therapy, if I can say. And I think maybe that's why that I've been so down. I haven't been doing it as often. Whereas when I do it often, it's such a release and I cry and stuff. If I don't cry, and I explode. So that's why it's important for us to go to therapy, because we need to talk, you know. And I want to ask, like, will I ever be okay?
I don't think anyone is okay. I'm learning this the older I grow. No one is okay. We're just finding avenues and coping mechanisms, but no one is okay. And I think you should take comfort in that. So when you do want to talk to me, because I don't share it, but I'm not okay either. No one is fully okay. It's okay if you're not also.
Yeah, it's a lot though. It's a lot, because even if I have like victories, if I have great moments, they're so short-lived. I feel like the negative always outweighs the positive, and I don't know why. And maybe that's why I've had so many failed relationships. And that's why I'm like, I'm sticking with the person I'm with because he understands me. No one else will understand me the way, you know. I'm surprised that I still have people in my life that really do understand how I am, you know. So I wanted to know, like, is it uncomfortable to receive when someone says, I have this condition?
It wasn't uncomfortable for me when you told me. It was just like, I guess I didn't say much because I don't know about it. You know, our conversation when you said it was just very brief. It was, yeah, because I was in hospital. I had an episode because I have bipolar, and it was just that. I was like, oh, sorry.
It was such a warm response, to be honest. Compared to like other interactions that I've had, it was just like very receiving, shaming.
It wasn't hard for me to receive. It's just the knowledge I didn't have.
Okay.
That's Ole Morolo and her friend Sibongile Stole. Ole told us that she talks openly about her experience with bipolar disorder. She tells anyone who wants to understand it, from friends to co-workers and family, and most recently on social media. She wants to help overcome the stigma associated with the mental illness and hopefully create an environment where she and the other 500,000 people in South Africa suffering from bipolar disorder feel better understood.
Today, I was supposed to have a conversation with my dad, and it didn't happen. This day was supposed to be the best day of my life, but...
This is Abigail. She's asked us not to use her last name. As part of our workshop, Abigail planned to interview her father about the wall she feels between them and how she wants to find a way to have a better relationship.
At first, when I told him that I want us to sit down and talk, he was just like, oh, okay. So then I told him that I'm serious, I want to talk to you. I just want to have a conversation with you, a conversation of a father and daughter, and speak about things that we both don't like, and speak about how our relationship is not working, why is it not working. As much as I stay with him in the same roof, but there isn't any relationship, We live in the same room, in the same house, but both of us, we're just in our different worlds, and things happen in the house, but we never sit down and talk about them.
Abigail lives with her dad. It's just the two of them. She's 23 years old, and for as long as she can remember, she's always played the role of caregiver for her dad. Today, she's the only one who works, and she provides for the two of them.
I think it's that thing whereby we all raised in a way that when you start working, you should look out for your family, So for me, it's not a big deal for me that I do, help out at home and, provide things for him. I do everything for him, and he's not grateful for that. I'm there for him, but he's not there for me. I'm not saying that he should show up financially. It's more of like him being present in my life. It's like I don't exist in his life. It's like Abigail's not there. And what surprises me, the name I was given by him and the meaning of my name, it's Father's Joy. But it doesn't feel like I'm his joy. It feels like, I don't know, the opposite of joy, I don't know, but it doesn't make sense to me.
On the morning that Abigail planned to interview her father, she called to make sure that he'd still make it to the studio, and she was relieved to hear that he still intended to come. In fact, he sounded enthusiastic. But a few hours later, she called again, and the phone just rang and rang. He never picked up, and he never showed up. So one of the other students in the workshop, Letabo Patlane, sat down with Abigail.
What I'm feeling now, I feel like he disappointed me as a father. He failed me.
Abigail wonders if her dad got cold feet, if he suddenly felt overwhelmed about speaking in front of a microphone. She believes a good, heartfelt talk will not only benefit her and the relationship, but it will help her dad too.
Sometimes when he's drunk, he'll say like, I'm stressed. When he's sober, he doesn't speak about anything. We don't speak. Also, for me to have this conversation with him, it was to help him to speak up and tell me what's eating him up and try find help for him so that he's okay.
Abigail lived in Alexandra Township with both of her parents until they got divorced when she was in grade 8. She doesn't know why, but she decided to stay with her dad while her little sister went with her mom. Abigail says once her mom left, she had to take over running the house and making sure her dad was taken care of.
My dad is the kid, so I'm supporting my dad. He once got sick. He was diagnosed with TB. I cooked for him, made sure that he drank his medication. Sometimes I'd lie at work. I'd lie that I'm not feeling okay because he was not feeling okay. And he has like family. The family would call. They knew that I had other things going on in my life, but they couldn't help me. So the burden was on me. And at that time also, I was still young, you understand? But I had to be there for my dad. I wish when my mom said I'm leaving the house, I left with her. But sometimes I feel like maybe I'm destined to stay with my dad and take care of my dad because he's old. So who's going to take care of him? So I feel like I'm obliged to stay with my dad because nobody has his back like I have his back.
There's a tension that exists in Abigail's life. She loves her father, but staying with him is having a terrible effect on her mental health. She's put her life on hold for him, but she does wonder at what point her life will become her own.
Because sometimes you feel like your life is being delayed, because a lot of things I have to think about my dad and then my needs later on. And that has an impact on my mental health because also I don't talk a lot about my mental health because sometimes I feel like other people are going through the most as well and I can't be sharing my pain. To be honest with you, this pain has become part of me in such a way that it's Abigail and the pain.
Abigail spoke to the other student in the workshop for about 50 minutes. Not an especially long time, but enough for her to discover that talking shed a light on how much her relationship with her dad weighs on her, how much pain she carries, and now she's decided that she doesn't want things to stay the same.
I want him to get help, number one. I feel like help is the main thing. The both of us at this point, we need to get help. That could be a start to something, being building a relationship between a daughter and a father. Sit down and speak about things that are affecting him and speak about his day. Yeah, I'm disappointed today, but I still have hope that one day we'll sit down and talk. I'm not hoping for the worst. I don't want to. I'm trying not to.
For our final story, I'd like you to meet two sisters, Maschaba and her older sister, who has asked us to not use her name or their family's last name.
You know what? I love you. I love you, man.
I love you too.
I love you. I miss us. I miss us. I miss you. Since that accident that happened, I miss you.
That time changed me. In fact, it took my whole life. It took everything from me. So it was difficult for me to come back to reality.
Maschaba and her sister have not talked about the accident for 9 years. And when they say accident, it's with quotes around it because saying out loud what actually happened all those years ago is too painful. The accident happened on the 14th of August, 2014. It happened late one afternoon when Maschaba's sister was out with her friend. Maschaba remembers her sister arriving home late that night. The family gathered around her when she told them what happened, and the news of the accident hung heavy in the room. Her mom was shaking, and no one knew what to do. They sat together for a long time in silence. Then they slept. The next morning, everyone was still devastated. Maschaba remembers seeing her mom in the kitchen, crying into the pot of porridge she was making. Later, her mom would take her sister to the clinic and then to the police station to report a case of rape. Maschaba wasn't sure that she fully grasped what had happened to her sister, but she understood. They both somehow understood. It was something they could never speak about.
I lost so much, It hurt me that day. I don't want to lie. It made me to feel lonely. I lost you. I lost my protect.
I even lost myself. I end up being like, no, it means I'm dirty and stuff. Some of the days I so wish I can be on my own world and just be alone, where there's no sound, there's no one, just be alone.
But it feels scary when you do that. I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. Sometimes I need your help and I don't know how to tell you because you be like, you don't want to talk to us. Even when I talk to you, become rude and you don't want to talk to me, and I feel bad when you do that.
You don't have to, because you're not the one who raised me, and you're not the one who brought anger into my life. So you don't have to blame yourself, and you don't have to be afraid to talk with me.
I miss us. I miss talking to you, sitting with you on the bed, and then we talk for long hours, like we sleep together. We used to bat together, you and I, but these days, when last did we bat together? We no longer do that. We no longer do that, and it's painful. Like,
I understand.
sometimes I wish like I could call you and be like, sister, I'm not well. At the same time, I'd be like, she's not emotional well. My sister, I feel like she's depressed. She got her own issues. So
I remember that man took everything from me. That man took my virginity from me. So that's the thing that changed me, changed the whole part of me. And I had to get used to new me. So the new me was no longer happy. The new me was always afraid of his body, who's always covering his body, who always thinks that his body is dirty because of I'm HIV positive. So yeah, it's difficult, man.
Can you please tell me they knew you, who you are?
I'm the person who's living with the pain.
When the accident happened, Maschaba's sister was only 14 years old. It was almost impossible for her to return to her normal high school life, let alone leave the house. The police opened a case, but the investigation seemed to go nowhere, and the neighbors were talking, telling their children to stay away from Maschaba's sister. But mainly, her sister was haunted by the fact that the perpetrator still roamed free. So a year later, Maschaba's mother and sister left their village and relocated to Benoni in Johannesburg for a change of scene and to give Maschaba's sister a chance to start her life over. But Maschaba had to start over too.
Mom lost herself in the process also. Because I had to become a mother. I have to forget that, okay, I'm also a kid and take care also of my other siblings while my mom was taking care of you. So we lost ourselves also.
I understand that. But then it wasn't your mistake, guys. You had to go all through that.
I'm not blaming you. I'm like, sometimes when I called you when you arrive at Benoni, you will not even take up my calls. Like, I kept on calling and calling. Sometimes you'll just be like...
I was adapting to a new place. I was adapting to a new school, new place. And then I'll be asking myself, how are these men around here? Do they behave the same as men in our villages? By that time, I was only thinking for myself to find peace and to be in a peaceful place where there's no one who knows me.
Is there a moment in your life that you felt like me and the family, we are not supporting you enough?
Nah, I don't feel like that. Because you guys, you were amazing. You were amazing in such a way. I couldn't even have words to explain that, but you were amazing.
3 years later, Maschaba's sister received a call from the Modze police station to say they'd found the suspect. Only when the perpetrator was given a life sentence did she feel that justice had been served. Maschaba's sister could finally move on with her life. She finished high school, and in 2017 she gave birth to her daughter, Boitumelo.
How is it like to be a mom, motherhood, like giving birth to this beautiful daughter, Mafuta, a princess? Ow.
Being a mother at a young age, it wasn't an easy journey for me. But then it was helpful because of it bring back me. Like I became happy again. I started to realize, no, I have someone more. I have to, she must look up to. And then it's amazing being a mother. While I was HIV positive, my baby is negative. I was protecting her towards the journey while I was pregnant. So, yeah.
Like, how can I help you when you are not feeling well? What can I do for you to ease the pain?
Just cook me a nice meal, Wina.
But you know very well that I can't cook. You know very well I'm a horrible.
You are horrible. You are the horriblest one.
Yeah, but I can
then
bake.
You have to, you see, just bake nice cookies, and then I will be.
I can bake. I'll bake for you when you're not feeling well, and I'll bring with a bottle of wine. You see, and then you sit down with the wine.
Yeah.
Will that be lovely?
Most definitely.
Thank you for listening. If you or someone you love needs support, you can call the South African Depression and Anxiety Group's toll-free number on 0800 567 567 or go to www.sadag.org for resources and other helplines. This episode is produced by 9 youth reporters. They are Abigail Mayedza, Letabo Patlane, Maschaba Mhlahlo, Nontlantla Mashabane, Babalo Mukwena, Buselezo Giane, Sibongile Sithole, Tato Mkanzi, and Tinyiko Mate. Thank you to Solid Gold Studios in Randburg, where we recorded this podcast. Joe Jackson is our managing producer. Rob Rosenthal and I edited this podcast. Music by Kamani Sambu at Edible Audio in Cape Town. Sound engineering by Naomi Gruen and Rob Rosenthal. For more information and to support our work, visit our website at radioworkshop.org. This episode and the work of Radio Workshop would not be possible without the support of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation in Greece. Join us for more live mental health discussions during the SNF Nostos Conference on June 21st to 23rd, 2023, which will focus on mental health. I'm Lesedi Mokgwatle.